Well, hi there. Regina Sanchez here, back to give you an update on my Daisy Quilt. So I have been diligently working. I have put in, I think I've calculated about 27 hours into the quilt, and it's nowhere near done. So I keep plugging along little by little, like maybe every night after I get done with dinner, or even while I'm making dinner. I may pop over to the sewing machine and, sew for a few minutes to get some more of the pieces done. It has been a long process, let me tell you, of making 41 daisies. And I'm excited because last night I finished a significant part of the daisy that had a lot of pieces to it. And so let me show you my stack of what I had to do to sew these daisies. So here is the pile. And I was able to chain stitch all of this, right? So these are all the pieces. And I'm gonna need to now iron, and then I need to cut with a template to have the petal of the daisy. So this pile here that I worked on is about, I want to say 160 petals. So it was a long process. It took a few hours to get it done, but it is done. And then this evening I'll probably press and maybe start cutting. So, as excited as I was last night, as I was finishing those pieces, and I was like getting tired, and the pile was still there to sew. I almost said, oh, I'll just finish it tomorrow. But I did push through, and I did get it done. Probably a little later than I wanted to, but I got it done, and I was excited. And usually at this point of my quilting, I'm excited because I'm reaching the end. And so once, tonight, once I press that part of the daisy, and then I do need to cut it. So I've got to cut 160 of those daisies into the size to then start sewing the daisies together. It's, I'm reaching the end. It's exciting. This part's exciting because I know I'm almost there, except I'm not. And so I feel a little overwhelmed. I have to be really honest, because once I finish those daisies, those 40 daisies, and I'm not sure why I thought in my calculations that 41 daisies would work, because that doesn't make sense in having rows or columns because it's an uneven number. But anyway, I'll have 41 daisies, and I will sew them. I'll begin to sew them in the columns to get a feel for how long it will be and how wide. Well, I won't be able to get the width, but I'll be able to get the length. And no, maybe I don't need to make another 50. Maybe I only need to make another 40. But regardless, I have a lot more daisies to do. And so I do feel a little overwhelmed, because once I finish these, I'm actually starting over again, like making another one of these quilts. So I'm going to keep plugging along because I really want the project. I really want the quilt. And I will have to encourage myself a lot along the way to keep going. So I don't know, I'm sure you've all had those projects or those moments in your life where you want to give up. What do you use, or what do you do to keep yourself going, to keep yourself motivated to continue the project to the end? This is something that, as I've said in a number of emails or messages, that this is an issue that God is really dealing with me, healing me in, is not giving up. So I don't like redundancy. I don't like doing the same thing over and over and over again. So, last night when I finished the 160 petal pieces, it was redundant, just sewing the same thing over and over and creating that long chain, which I'm grateful for because it does make it go by quicker. You can sew it faster than sewing each piece and making one daisy at a time. Because as I said in my prior email, that one daisy that I did do took me an hour. So to put the daisies together in that fashion is not going to work, because technically it would take me 90 hours to put my daisies together. So the piecemeal part makes sense. It's just, I don't like redundancy. I don't like doing the same thing over and over and over again. I need to have change and such. And that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy my business, because it's not the same thing day in and day out. I'm not going to my office. I'm not doing the same thing over and over again. I mix it up. I have some days I go and I work with an organizing client. Some days I'm writing. Some days I'm coaching. So all of that just makes my life so much more fun in the way of my work. So, I'd love to hear back from you on what do you do when you feel overwhelmed, because I'm sure some of my listeners would love to hear too. I'm going to do some praying. I'm going to just keep going, but I'm going to need to encourage myself for sure. Especially once I get these 40 daisies done. To start over again is going to be a challenge, but I will do it because I really, really, really want this quilt done. So thanks for listening. I will give you an update when I have all the daisies done. So thanks again. God bless and have a beautiful day. Bye. So here is what I accomplished last night. I broke off the chain sewing that I had, this big pile, if you'll remember, and I pressed them open. So I have this big pile. I want to say there was like 160 of them. And then I had to take my ruler and cut it down into these squares. After I finish cutting all these down, then I begin to create my daisy. And so this is how it will go. Let me take one piece, and then this part gets up. I've got two. So this part gets sewn here. It's hard to see because the fabric hasn't laid down. And then you put another piece there. Then you add this, and then two more pieces, and you get your daisy. So I am hoping tonight to go out, or not to go out. I've been out actually doing yard work. I'm hoping tonight to begin cutting all of these pieces. And then probably sometime tomorrow, I am going to start putting the daisies together. So it's getting there, friends. Thanks for following me. I appreciate your encouragement too that I'm receiving from some of you. So you hang in and you keep pursuing what you want to do as well. Okay. My next step is done. I finally got through this last stack here of petals that I had to cut the pieces off. This is the stash of scraps left from cutting 160 of those petals. I do keep them because I'm learning a new concept of making quilts or whatever from your crumbs, which is kind of what this is called. So anyway, I will put those somewhere, but Yes, I finally got through all of those pieces. I am grateful for my daughter who bought me this for Christmas because it so helped cutting these pieces. It's a rotating mat, so you can leave the piece, in its one position as you're cutting and then rotate it so that you can get all the different sides of it. So I'm taking this pile with me over to the table, and I am going to begin at this point making a daisy. So for right now, I think I'm going to make myself 8 daisies. And that's going to be my daisy. And then I'm going to make 8 of them. I'm going to sew them in the column that the pattern shows with the sashing in between. And then I'm going to go lay it on my bed to see if it's going to be enough length for my bed. And if it is, then I don't need to do 9 daisies going down, but 8. If it's not long enough, then I will add the other daisy. I definitely have enough fabric to do that. So off I'm going to go and start putting together 8 daisies. Thanks for listening. Hi friends, welcome back to my update on my Daisy Quilt. I have been moving along, not as fast as I wanted. I was hoping at this point to have my first 40 daisies all put together. So the daisies are in their block, but I wanted the strips done, and I haven't gotten that done. But I'm moving along nicely. I'm feeling really good at this point about what I've progressed so far and done, my progress on it. Let me just get some proper English here. So let me just switch the camera over and give you a visual of what I have accomplished so far. So here is 2 strips that I've gotten done so far on the daisies. It's pretty long. I think there's 8 daisies in each strip. So I have 3 more strips to do, and then the first part of my quilt will be done. And then I have to recalculate what I need to put together, because I don't think I'm going to need 90 daisies in total. As a matter of fact, I know I'm going to need 80. Well, I shouldn't say that. I've calculated at this point I might need 80, but it's possible I might need less. The length of this is perfect for the length of my bed. So it's pretty long. It goes all the way around the couch here. So the length of it, I don't need to add a 9th daisy. So 8 daisies going down is going to be fine. So that saves me 10 daisies that I could cut off my list. So right now, when I put all of this together, at a minimum, I need 40 more daisies, but I might not need 40 more. I might need 32 more. So let me show you my pile of daisies yet to be sewn together, and we'll go from there. So these are the piles of daisies that I have, and each pile has 8 daisies. So I have these 3 more to do to sew. I was hoping to have them done by now, actually, and I don't. So I will just, over the weekend, sew these strips and then recalculate what I need. So I might need 32 more. At a minimum, I will need 32 more. I might need 40. So we'll see as I'm moving along. But I'm pleased so far how it's going. So friends, that's the update on my Daisy Quilt. As I said, I'm excited that it's moving along nicely and that I am halfway there almost. And so I will keep you posted and plug in with you every now and then. Maybe over the weekend, I'll give you an update when I get my next strips done on those 3 piles and let you know where I stand. But I hope that you are doing well, and I hope that you are pushing through on an area that is giving you some resistance, and that you feel like you want to give up, or you're frustrated with, or you're not sure that you can finish the project, whether it be a home project, a work project, whatever it might be, a school project. But I hope that you are holding on and doing little by little, as I do. Every night, as I said, I think in some of my other videos, like every night, if I'm home, I will try and spend an hour, and I'll give myself an hour. And sometimes I say, okay, I'm gonna sew for the next hour and I want all of this done. And there's times where I get to that hour and I'm like, oh, I'm not done, but I wanna be done, so I may push forward and keep going. Or there might be times when the hour comes and I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like the piecemeal stuff, I'm done doing the same thing over and over and over again. But little by little, just keep plugging away. As I used to tell my organizing clients when I was organizing years ago full time, and I'd come into their home, and if it was their home that was overwhelmed, or if it was a room that we were working on that was overwhelming, for them, and sometimes it was overwhelming for me, to be perfectly honest. But I would just say, okay, we're gonna just focus on this one little segment of the room, and we're not gonna worry about the rest of the room. We're gonna just focus on this segment, or whatever we could focus on for the time that I was there. And there were times when clients would ask for homework, in between our sessions. So I would give them homework, and I'd say, listen, if you only have 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, go and give that time to this project. Because if you keep chipping away at it little by little, eventually it gets done. And that, frankly, is what I have learned. Or I guess I knew it, because that's what I did with my quilting. And the one quilt that I started on my own after I stopped quilting with my teacher, from my prior videos, I think I shared that I believe I worked with her for almost a year, or about a year, and I think we made like 3 quilts working with her. And then it got to a point where, okay, I'm going to try and do this on my own. And the quilt that I chose was massive. And it wasn't that it was hard, it was very tedious, because there was all these 2.5-inch squares, like 600 and something 2.5-inch squares. But I found that I would just do a little at a time, and that eventually the quilt got done. So that's what I encourage you. Just focus whatever you may be paralyzed in. Don't look at the massiveness of the project. Just take the next step, and dedicate time to just do the next step, and don't look at anything else but the next step. And then when you have more time again, take the next step. Just go step by step. And I promise you, eventually your project will be done. So thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. I will have an update, hopefully soon. I'll have the quilt, at least the quilt top done. Then it'll be a matter of, I have to go and buy backing. I haven't bought any backing yet, which I usually try to wait until I've gotten the quilt top done, because initially I thought I was going to have a quilt top done with 41 squares, and when I found out that wasn't the case and I recalculated, I thought I needed 90 squares, but now I may not. I may only need 80, or I may only need 72 squares. So that will change the size of the top of the quilt. So I'm glad I didn't buy a backing. Like I said, I usually wait until the top is done and get the measurements and then go buy the backing. So I'll have to do that, and then the quilt will be done. So it's still cold here in Connecticut. And I have my beautiful down quilt on, which I'm enjoying still. So I'm not sure how soon I'm gonna really want this summer quilt, this lightweight quilt, but hey, whenever it's done, it'll be done and I will enjoy it to its fullest. So thanks for listening. God bless, and I will tune in soon. Bye-bye.